A very good evening and welcome to Parliamentary News. I am Muhammad Rabiu Ali. Federal Executive Council gives note to amendment of Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act.
The law we are operating on now is 2007 Nigerian Minerals and Mining Law. It has become obsolete. A lot of new things have come up in mining.
Plus, State Security Council on the way as National Assembly transmits Constitution Alteration Bill 47 to President for assent.
Not able to establish state police, Mr. Speaker. Let us do the minimum and have a body that is recognized by law that can deal with matters of security.
Now the news in details. The Federal Executive Council has approved the amendment of the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act towards ensuring growth and investment in the nation's mining sector. Consequently, a new draft bill is soon to be forwarded to the National Assembly for consideration and possible approval in the interests of the economy. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports on these and other resolutions adopted by the Council.
Minister of Mines and Steel Development Olamilekong Adegbite, who presented a memo to that effect, told the Council that the current mining laws do not conform to the modern-day reality of global best practices and by implication hampers the growth and development of the mining industry. The development of the sector, he said, is an important component of the nation's economic policy.
The law we are operating on now is 2007 Nigerian Minerals and Mining Law. It has become obsolete. A lot of new things have come up in mining. There's renewed focus. Everybody is coming there. And as expressed today, is a new frontier for economic growth in Nigeria. So we need to update the law in line with modern realities.
Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola presented 3 projects and contracts memoranda to the Council. The first was in respect of the conversion of the ministry's paper records, files, and memos into digital format at 916.8 million naira.
The second is to augment the contract price from 38 billion to 74.649 billion for the construction of the Kaduna Eastern Bypass. That's a very critical road that connects Kaduna and I think like about 11 other states in the country.
And the third contract approved was under the tax credit scheme covered by the Executive Order 7 issued by President Muhammadu Buhari to allow the private sector to invest in public infrastructure, especially roads, by spending their taxes in advance.
In this case, we approved 4 roads, all of them in Kwara State, Bodesadu, Kayama, Koshubu Road, Lafiagi, Shonga, Bachita Road, Eyen, Kori, Afon, Ojoku, Ofa Road, and Ukuta, Kenu, Tebe Road. The total is a distance of 283.938 kilometers. The approval was for Mrs. Bua International Limited.
The Minister of Labour and Employment also secured approval for a revised regulation in respect of what the ministry calls woodworking machinery and the entire ecosystem.
And his other approval is on policy on HIV/AIDS. And basically this is to guarantee personal human rights of people with HIV in workplaces. They are not discriminated against and they are given equal rights.
In all, 14 memoranda from ministries, departments and agencies were considered and approved at the council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
The Senate has continued with its interventions in Nigeria's solid minerals sector, and this time around it has passed the bill that seeks to establish the Nigerian Minerals Development Corporation. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
The Nigerian solid mineral sector losing billions of dollars daily to these illegal miners. Senate, in its wisdom, decided to intervene through the establishment of an agency that will check this illegality and establish a development fund for the sector. The bill, sponsored by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Solid Minerals, Senator Umaru Tanko Almakura, has been passed.
Will unbundle the solid mineral sector to enhance more purposeful execution of the upstream, midstream, and downstream sectors in order to facilitate participation by major investors.
Very significant and important legislation that will support our mining sector. The mining sector in Nigeria is supposed to contribute as much as probably 30% of our GDP.
The Information and Communication Technology INSU Ehime Mbano Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Frank Ibezim, also passed, while the Federal Capital Territory Sports Commission Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Philip Aduda, the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill by Senator Lubumi Adetumbi, passed second reading.
With this, the establishment of the FCT Sports Commission will ensure a rapid development of sports in the FCT.
This bill further seeks to, among other things, establish a holistic framework for monitoring, evaluating, and enforcing effective mobilization of government revenues for economic recovery.
The institution of sanctions will act as deterrent to some of these revenue-generating agencies. So on the whole, the leakages is so much and so enormous, and the federal government is losing a lot of money on a daily basis.
Ahmed Walama, Fatima Kiari, and Benga Adebayo were confirmed as members of the Universal Service Provision Board, while that of Funke Opeke was stepped down because she did not appear for the screening.
Engineer Funke Opeke should be given the opportunity to appear for her screening immediately she returns to Nigeria.
Senate condemned bandit attack in Usa and Takum communities in Taraba South and called on the National Emergency Management Agency to provide relief materials to victims, as moved by Senator Emmanuel Buacha.
The loss of lives from my constituents in the local government of Usa and Takum from Taraba South. To reach out to these communities because there are displaced ones in thousands that have left their communities and are running for cover, that the NEMA will reach out to them.
Senate has adjourned to Tuesday, the 25th of April, 2023 for Easter and Salah break. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, in tune with the fact that security is a collective responsibility, the National Assembly is transmitting to the President for assent the Constitutional Alteration Bill 47 that will enable the establishment of State Security Council. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has details.
The Constitution Alteration Bill 47 seeks amendments of Section 197 of the 1999 Constitution to add establishment of State Security Council to the section. When established, the council shall have the state governor as chairman. Its function will include to provide advice on matters of public security and on organizations and agencies established by law for ensuring security. The latest passage of the Constitution amendments by Oyo and Zamfara State Houses of Assembly enabled its compliance with the Authentication Act and other provisions. House members urged State Houses of Assembly to be proactive in passing constitution alteration bills for good governance.
House of Assembly that are yet to forward their resolutions on the bills to do so in fulfillment of their constitutionally imposed legislative obligations to the Constitution amendment process.
If we are not able to establish state police, Mr. Speaker, let us do the minimum and have a body that is recognized by law that can deal with matters of security. Some responsibilities that ordinarily would be discharged at the state level, they begin to look for a federal nomenclature to deal with it.
On other areas, for example, the alteration that has to do with local government autonomy, there could be deciding factors, and it's my plea and appeal. I will join him to appeal to those states to also act. And it will not be out of sight out of order for us who are coming from those states to again appeal to those states to consider some of the bills that are before them.
Plenary featured second reading of bill to repeal and enact Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporations Act, bill to repeal and enact Weights and Measures Act, and 4 other bills.
The NDIC is saddled with the responsibility of carrying out some public policy objectives, which includes protecting bank depositors by providing an orderly means of compensation in the event of failure.
Weights and measures affect just everywhere, everybody. You go and buy fuel, go and buy LPG. Weights and measures are there, but they are not being done the proper way that they should be done.
Reports on 10 bills were considered and approved. One of the bills seeks to amend the Court of Appeal Act to increase the number of justices of the court from 90 to 110 and to make provision for virtual court proceedings. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
A group calling itself Coalition of Support Groups to former Zamfara State Governor and Senator-elect Abdulaziz Abubakar Yari is appealing to the All Progressive Congress to zone the position of the Senate President to the Northwest Zone. This was during a media briefing in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Dayo Ogunshola reports.
After the last general elections, preparation for the next dispensation is gaining momentum with power calculation among various interest groups. Of note to most Nigerians is the zoning arrangement of offices, particularly in the legislative arm of government by the governing APC. This coalition of groups is not only appealing to the former Zamfara State Governor, Abdulaziz Abubakar Yari, to show interest in the Senate presidency, but also calling on the APC to acknowledge the contribution of the Northwest Zone to its success during the last elections.
And quite congruously, if you must read from politics, you must have contributed substantially. Underline the word substantial. You must have contributed substantially. The region with the highest percentage contribution. This is our stand. This is where Coalition of Support Group for Senator Dr. Abdulaziz Abubakar Yari. This is where we stand. The region with the highest percentage contribution to the victory should have the slot of the Senate President. That is why we are calling on Senator Dr. Yari to come out, because the Northwest gave us the needed victory.
The group is of the view that if elected as President of the Senate in the 10th Assembly, former Governor of Zamfara will support the renewed hope and action plan of the coming administration. In Abuja, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
Lagos State House of Assembly summons Fiscal Planning Commissioner. These and many more after this break.
NTA Parliament is a dedicated 24-hour channel that broadcasts activities of the Nigerian Senate, Federal House of Representatives, and all the 36 state houses of assembly. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
Thanks for being there. Senator-elect Katsina South Senatorial District Muhammad Muntari Nduse has lent a helping hand to the less privileged in his constituency with assorted food package as encouraged in the spirit of the holy months of Ramadan. Correspondent Lami Ali reports that the yearly initiative is to ease the feeding demand of families during the period. Her report.
Muhammad Muntari Nduse is a serving member of the House of Representatives, now Senator-elect Katsina South, as declared in the recently conducted poll. He says the welfare of his people is of priority to him, which was why he provided assorted food items including rice, beans and sorghum for distribution to 7,000 households as part of assistance for the Ramadan fast. Aside food distribution, the lawmaker is also encouraging his constituents to be self-reliant through economic empowerment. Here, he provided fingerlings to the fishing community at no cost, to boost fish farming.
So we are using this opportunity to put what we hatch in my farm. We are targeting each dams we have to put at least 100,000 fingerlings so that they can have a good and sustainable economic development in terms of fish farming. So instead of them to go out and beg, or instead of them to live idle, we think it is high time as leaders to encourage them so that we give them capacity building and remain sustainable in terms of their economic activities.
The senator-elect stated that his intention is to dedicate resources at his disposal to improve the livelihood of his constituents. Lami Ali, NTA News.
On Tuesday, 28th of March 2023, Senate approved presidential requests for the establishment of 10 additional national parks. These parks are to be located each in Niger, Kano, Katsina, Nasarawa, Osun, and Plateau states, while 2 will be located in Bayelsa and Jigawa states. Our National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo spoke with the former Deputy Governor of Jigawa State and Senator representing Jigawa Northeast Senatorial District, Senator Ibrahim Hadeja.
Well, the Senate has approved the request of Mr. President for the establishment of additional 10 parks. Now, what is the intent of that presidential request?
Well, it's in conformity with the National Park Act of 2004. Anytime you want to establish a new national park, there's a series of processes that must be passed through. First of all, the states must apply to the federal government and hand over those designated parks. And then the Park Service will assess them, find out that they are suitable for transformation into a national park. After which the President will issue a proclamation, and then the National Assembly will approve. So this is what happened last week. Also, the final stage in actually them becoming national parks. So the National Park Service will now take over the geographical area of those parks, man them, protect the flora and fauna within those parks in conformity with the National Park Act in 2004. So essentially, it's a process, final stage of a process that's taken almost 3 or 4 years. Well, once the federal government takes them over, most of these parks are being taken over because there is something of national interest there. Either there's forest cover, there's flora and fauna, maybe that is peculiar to that park. Some of them contain animals that are almost going extinct. Like the one in my state, Hadeja, it falls under the purview of the Boturia Bird Sanctuary, which is a bird sanctuary that has been attracting visitors from all over the world for the last 50, 60 years, because it attracts migratory birds from Europe who travel for 11, 12,000 kilometers during winter to come and spend the summer there for 2-3 months and go away. And so with the neglect, a lot of human activity has really destabilized the ecosystem. So we're hoping that by the time the federal government takes over these parks, the sanity will be restored. People in the area will know that this is no longer free for all to go and cut firewood and things like that. And then, of course, the National Park Service has some incentives to cater for communities within those parks so that they can provide alternative means of livelihood for them so they don't disturb the area anymore.
Okay. Now the issue of insecurity in parts of the country, is it not a big challenge for these parks?
It's a big challenge, but you see, under the new dispensation, it's actually also a solution. Because the National Park Service has always had what they call forest guards. But those guards are basically unarmed in the past. Now, in the last 2-3 years, they have gotten approval from the police and from the army to train those forest guards to actually carry arms. And when I'm talking of serious armament, AK-47 and all that. So you now have a situation where you have armed national park rangers designated permanently within those parks to patrol, to arrest poachers, and since they now have the requisite firepower to also help in the general insecurity in the country. Right. Thank you very much for having me.
From Lagos State House of Assembly comes a report that members of the State House of Assembly have summoned the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development and Special Advisor to the Governor on Public-Private Partnership to explain to the House their refusal to seek ratification before contracts are signed. The summons was issued after a legislature raised a motion on the matter of urgent public importance or lack of due diligence in contractual agreement in Lagos. Musa Toliat has the details.
The legislator representing Mushin Constituency 1, Nueni Akinsanya, in the motion raised specifically mentioned the Ministry of Fiscal Planning and Office of Public-Private Partnership as culpable ministry and agency of government where due diligence is not given priority when the need to sign contractual agreements arises.
The trend needs to be curbed and discouraged as the law of this state as passed by this House must be duly complied with and enforced.
Some lawmakers believe there is need to strengthen relevant committees to deal decisively with violation of the law when they carry out oversight functions.
It is high time we did something about respective committees of the House to go back and check where we have such infractions in their respective committee and their agencies.
This House is not a rubber stamp. Whatever we need to do, once the due process is followed, it needs to be presented before this August House for ratification.
Without recourse to the House,
others believe lack of due process has adverse effects on effective budget implementation and should not be condoned.
Mr. Speaker, I think it is also important that we should invite the GMPPP and the SAPPP, particularly the procurement officer as well.
All those in favor say aye. All those who are against say nay. They reserve it.
Deputy Speaker, Lagos House of Assembly, Right Honorable Wasiu Eshinlokun-Sani, therefore ruled that individuals mentioned in the motion be summoned to appear before the House and explain why due process is neglected in contractual agreements in their official engagements. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
And still with the State Assembly, the House of Assembly in Kwara State has confirmed Justice Abiodun Ayodele Adebara as a substantive Chief Judge of the state. The confirmation followed his screening at the plenary last Wednesday. Kainde Omolosho has details.
Responding to questions from the legislators, Justice Adebara promised to ensure speedy dispensation of justice in the state. He solicited more budgetary allocation for the state judiciary to address the challenges of inadequate courts and other matters in the third arm of government. He also promised a healthy working relationship within the three arms of government to move the state forward.
I will ensure in the administration of justice in Kwara State that there is what is called fairness to all sides. I will ensure that there's equitable distributions of everything within the judiciary of Kwara State.
The legislators also confirmed Abubakar Abdullahi Uthman, Oyedun Funke Juliana, Yusuf Abdulganiyu Aremu, Abdul Gana Lupada as chairman and members of Fiscal Responsibility Commission in Kwara State. The confirmation was sequel to screening of the nominees by the legislators. Speaker Yakubu Dala Disalu thereafter directed Clerk of the House, Alima Perogi, to communicate the confirmation of the appointments to Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak.
Now I want to report the proceedings as agreed at the Committee of the Whole. Honorable Justice Abiodun Ayodele Adebara is hereby confirmed as the Chief Judge of Kwara State. We so resolve.
The House also instructed Acting Grand Kadi, Kwara State Sharia Court of Appeal, Justice Abdulateef Kamaldeen, to appear before the House for screening on Thursday. This followed a message from Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak requesting screening and confirmation of Justice Kamaldeen as Grand Kadi following his recommendation by the National Judicial Council. Also at the plenary, a petition by Okeonyo community on missing 17.5 kVA Perkins generator belonging to the community hospital against Ifelodun Local Government Transition Implementation Committee Chairman Jide Shonibare was presented by member representing Isin constituency Olumide Awolola and was referred to the ad hoc committee chaired by Deputy Speaker Raphael Adetiba. The committee is to investigate and report its finding to the House in due course. Kehinde Omolosho, NTA News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has set 15th of April 2023 to conclude all pending elections in the country. Kebbi State has governorship, national and state assembly elections to conduct. The question is, how prepared are the political actors? Abdulil Mohammed Bawa found out in this report.
Irregularities, overvoting, violence, declaration of results under duress are major reasons for declaring some Senate, House of Reps, and State House of Assembly elections as inconclusive in Kebbi State. Results for Ngaski and Yauri were not declared inconclusive but have not been released because they were said to be declared under duress and therefore being sorted out. Aside from the governorship elections, that of Kebbi North Senatorial District is one out of the 5 declared inconclusive in the country. In addition to the 8 houses of assembly declared inconclusive, that of House of Representatives in Kokobese and Dendemayama will also be contested on the 15th of April 2023. Are the political actors ready?
And all that areas that is going for the wrong election is 100%, or I can say 99% of the electorate in that area are APC members. And we know they are ready to vote APC.
So we have done almost everything to make sure that we become victorious on the 15th of this month, on this military election. Apart from that, as a political party, we have our own strategy, which is not us. So plus what is supposed to be public and what we have in our chest, we are making everything humanly possible to see that we have succeeded in this supplementary election, inshallah.
The INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Kebbi State, Alhaji Ahmad Mahmoud, said adequate provision has been made for logistics and security to ensure credible elections in the state.
We will have a close watch over what are going to happen, because the parameters have now been reduced to a very few local governments.
A political and public affairs analyst, Ibrahim G. Kandede, agrees that Kebbi State is making history with the inconclusive elections.
First time in the history of Kebbi when we experience or we have this kind of supplementary election. So it is interesting to know that yes, the electorates are ready to go out to cast their votes, not as much as the large number of the votes that are expected. But to be frank, yes, electorates are ready to go out and cast their votes.
The stage is set for the election in Kebbi State. Only time will tell who will pick the head or tail. In Birnin Kebbi, Abdul Mohammed Bawa, NTA News.
And that does it on Parliamentary News this week. Do join us next week. Remember, NTA stands against rape and rapists. You can follow us for news updates on our social media handles scrolling on your screen. Thanks for watching. Good evening.